Good Sunday morning, YouTube. This is Tire Metalhead Weatherman. Happy Easter to all of you that may celebrate it. Got a little bit to talk about here. Well, we actually have quite a bit to talk about here because today we're doing a long range forecast. We're gonna take more of a look into the long range. A lot of this stuff I can't even call a forecast after about 150 hours out, but we're gonna try to take a little bit of a look into the future. Get an idea of what these forecast guidance models are showing us, these ensembles. Feels like it's been a while since I've done it. Before I get into it, though, I do want to put this disclaimer out there. These long range forecast models can change at the drop of a dime. Once you get past 150 hours out, literally, it's just you have to take that with a grain of salt. Because literally, 1 minute it could be you have snow showers, and the next minute you have nothing at all, or you may go the other way and have rain or even severe weather. So take all this with a grain of salt. Might be a little bit longer of a video, but I'm going to try my best to keep it under 15-20 minutes. So without further ado, let's get into it. We'll start out with today, though. We have already talked about this pretty much to death at this point. We have our slight risk down here for southern Gulf Coast here. We have Jackson, Shreveport, Alexandria, and Mobile under a slight risk, and then marginal risk has actually been extended a little bit further north. Now it includes maybe the south side of Atlanta. Might be all of it. Kind of hard to say based off the scaling of this model, of this map, I should say. But all the hazards remain the same. Significant hail threat off to the western end of the slight risk. Wind threat is still 15% around the slight risk, 5% around the marginal, and then our tornado threat is pretty much confined to that slight risk area. So that being said, and then good news is, guess what? They still haven't put up, well, that just changed. This is literally not here before I recorded this video, but I'm not surprised that it's here. So marginal risk for severe weather. This might include Charleston. You guys are just on the line, so if you're just on the line, you might as well act like you are in it. So just be watchful. Savannah, Georgia, you're in it. Jacksonville, Tallahassee, and Valdosta, Albany, you guys are under a marginal risk for severe weather tomorrow. Even the eastern part of the Florida coast here, practically Miami to Melbourne, Orlando, you're just outside of it. You guys are under marginal risk, and then just north of the Wilmington and on the pretty much the entire length of the North Carolina coast, you're also under a marginal risk. Take a quick look at this. Tornado threats relatively minimal, pretty much confined to the entire North Carolina coast. And then wind threats 5%, just around all the areas that are under a marginal, and pretty much the same thing with the hail threat. Not a whole lot to talk about there. Not going to really go into detail about it unless this thing upticks a little bit further by the end of the night. I'm going to try to keep this video short, so let's take a look at today's weather, and then we will talk about tomorrow. Start talking about the long range here, because there's some very interesting stuff that I'm seeing, especially for areas in the Northeast. But like I said, we'll get into it in just a moment. So here we are. This is our reflectivity map. This is what the radar could look like over the course of the day for the next 18 hours. So here's our MCS system. This is what's going to cause our severe weather in the southeast today and into tomorrow. And then up towards the north, we have our upper level low here causing a lot of disturbed weather in the Dakotas. Finally starting to exit Montana and then working its way towards Minnesota and the Great Lakes region. So we'll move this forward here. So you get a little bit of a snow shield trying to push its way all the way into Iowa. Meanwhile, our mesoscale convective system is pushing towards the south. We get our severe weather into the late evening hours. There's a little bit of a tornado threat around this area in particular, right around where we had talked about our slight risk being. And we watch this other low kind of move forward, and it kind of looks like these two are trying to phase here, which is really interesting. This And here's where things kind of get interesting after that. As we get to the end of this model run, we're gonna actually take a step back and actually look at the geopotential height here. This is showing the atmosphere at the upper levels. So this is kind of what's showing us. This is showing us stuff like this could be showing us something like our storm systems, cold air, warm air. It kind of makes basically this stuff in the blue, these little bowling ball like shapes. These are storm systems. These are troughs, and these red areas, these are ridges that are developed. Ridges are warm air, cold air, usually going to be represented by a trough. So, and usually the area in between is where we will get some pretty unstable, active weather, usually severe weather. So we'll take a look at this real quick. So we move this forward, and this is about the time that the GFS was showing us here. So we have our cold air in place up here. This is our active weather region here. So we watch this push off to the north and east. Our ridge starts to dissolve a little bit as this weather begins to roll through. And then if you look closely, our bowling ball looks like it's almost trying to take in that swing, like it's going to take a brief tilt into a negative position where it's basically pointing southeast. This is important because with this storm system right here and that other low that I was talking about right here, these two are doing what's called phasing. And this usually creates for a much stronger storm, and usually you end up having a snowstorm when you have cold air in place like this. So I actually think there's a nor'easter possible here this week for the northeastern states here, especially around the northeast coast. You could be looking at some heavy snow. We'll take a look at the GFS in a minute, and we'll get a better idea of what's going on here. Meanwhile, severe weather threats minimal on Monday and Tuesday. So looks like we get a big upper level low that comes through here. So definitely looking like this week we will get some kind of winter activity around the northeast. Meanwhile, things definitely still look active because this is another low pressure system here. You can see by these lines, especially once they get in tighter, that's how you know that this storm is getting towards the stronger end of the spectrum. Then once we go here, looks like we're getting more unsettled weather for the northwest and into the northern plains. More snow possible, but also you can see this little clear area here. This is where we could be expecting more severe weather. So this severe weather threat looks like it's starting to try to take a little bit of a push to the north, especially in areas like Kansas and Missouri once more being under the threat. I'm glad it gives a break to some of the other states down here, but some of these guys have gotten hit hard pretty recently as well. So anyone in these areas, definitely brace yourself. There could be more nasty weather coming your way. So we watch this storm system move into Canada, and pretty much becomes less of a factor for the northeast. Meanwhile, look at the ridge that we have built in here. It's going to be a lot of warm and probably seasonally above average temperatures around the eastern half of the country. So we're definitely in what's called a negative PNA. Basically, it's going to be colder in the west and warmer in the east. So we'll watch this continue onward. We're getting to that point though now where severe weather threat is definitely going to be pushing further and further north, almost kind of leaving areas like Texas and Oklahoma out of it. So they get a little bit of a break. But unfortunately, these guys in the central plains are probably going to be at risk once again. This low doesn't seem that impressive, but this is over 100 hours out, so this can easily change from this point forward. What you see here, you pretty much have to take with a grain of salt. Meanwhile, this ridge really begins to strengthen around the northeast, so there's going to be some very unseasonably warm temperatures here. So we watch this move off into Canada once more, and then after that, things kind of get wacky with this model after about 190 hours. So from the looks of it, there's still a ridge going, but it looks like there could be a potential change, pattern change. Have to take this with a grain of salt, of course. And it looks like there's another cold push that tries to take hold of the northeast in particular, but and actually try to sneak its way into the south, try to work its way south here. But like I said, it's kind of wacky here because normally you're gonna have either warm in the west, cold in the east, or vice versa, and we don't see anything here. So that tells me that I can't take that part of the model run seriously. So let's take a look at the GFS now, and we'll be on our way here. So we already have seen today. So this is where our marginal risk is going to come in tomorrow. This is our low pressure system, and here's our other low. Our other lows in the Great Lakes, and these two definitely look like they phase. And you can even see almost kind of how they link together. Like right around West Virginia and into the Ohio Valley, you're starting to get some pretty heavy snow here. And then we have the Great Lakes machine turned on. We have snow squalls here. Watch this push off to the east, and then look at that. Take a good look at that. Some moderate to heavy snow and other assorted wintry precipitation. This upper level low is sitting under 1,000 millibars. Very strong system. Cold air is dug into the south, so you're going to get plenty of wraparound snow on this as well. Some areas may start out as rain, but you'll end as snow. But if you take a look at this here, especially around the New England area, look at this. Look at all the heavy snow that we're getting here. Some pretty big totals are possible. We're going to take a look at those in a minute. But this storm system finally moves off into Canada by Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon-ish. And then we can see our next upper level low here. Not very impressive. You might get some marginal severe weather around this area. We'll look at that a little bit more closely. But over here, we're getting another big, potentially big snow event for the UP here, and around northern Minnesota. Keep wanting to call that Minneapolis for whatever reason. That's crazy. But the warm air ends up pushing further north, and this is that ridge that we were talking about. So this ridge really starts to take hold and kicks that cold air out. You start out as snow, and then you're going to end as rain for a lot of the Great Lakes region. It pretty much leaves the Northeast out of this one, out of this storm system here. I'll be watching this low here on Friday, because I do think this will have a greater chance of producing severe weather, maybe even around the Ohio Valley. So this ridge really starts to take effect here, because even the Dakotas now are starting to struggle to get snow. You'll probably start out as rain and then end as snow. And then on the other side of this, next Saturday, looks like there could be some severe weather around this upper level low. There could be a potential tornado threat with this. But this is so far out that it's hard to really hammer that down and say it with confidence that there's going to be a tornado threat. Definitely looks like severe weather, though, because there's clearly a very robust warm sector. It'll be interesting to see how far the Gulf moisture goes with this. So... And then in Canada, it looks like you have potential to see thunder snow too, which is pretty crazy. The backside of this, we're getting snow in the Dakotas. And then it looks like a new squall line tries to develop late into the next Saturday evening, on the 23rd. Strengthens into a severe weather event, possibly, and works its way through the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. So... we watch that move through. Another upper level low comes in, may cause some severe weather around the central plains once more. The backside of it, you're getting snow. And this looks like it pushes a little bit further south. There might be another cold blast coming for the central plains. It may work its way to the southeast, but at this point we're 200 hours out, and it's hard to really say with confidence that this can happen. It's hard to nail down a time frame that's this far out. So looks like maybe more severe weather for the Ohio Valley, and on the backside, maybe east of Nebraska and into Iowa may get a little bit of heavy snow. Then on the south side of this storm system, we look like we're getting more severe weather, maybe for the Houston area. we watched this storm system kind of fade off and then redevelop around the northeast, but this will be mostly a rain event. And yeah, the pattern definitely is still active because you can see yet another storm rolling in. They're just coming in one after the other. So this active pattern is not stopping anytime soon. Maybe more severe weather towards the end of the month around Texas. And then we have an interesting look here towards the 300-hour mark, 330-hour mark, but this is so far out, it's hard to take that with a grain of salt. This is a freezing line here, and then like north of it, it's showing it as rain. So at this point, like I said, these forecast models get pretty wonky after about 150 hours, so 300, of course. You can imagine what happens here. Very interesting look here because, again, it looks like we have a coastal low that comes up. And with the cold air in place, there is an opportunity for maybe another nor'easter or a period of heavy snow. But so far out, it's just hard to really even take it seriously. More upper level lows. And then looks like this becomes a pretty sizable snow event for the northwest here. Idaho and Montana, again, you guys are in line. Probably going to get hit with this. I can't say with confidence that this will happen either, but it's possible. But that's the end of the model run, and that's all I got for you guys. Of course, if you like what I'm doing, like, comment, share, subscribe. Get this word out there to people that need it. That's all I got for you guys. It's been Tyre Metalhead Weatherman. I hope you guys have a good Sunday. Happy Easter to those of you that celebrate it.